Hello and welcome to Catalyze Music Academy. My name is Zaak Kerstetter and I'm an Ableton Certified Trainer. And today I want to talk a little bit about how you can customize Live's behavior and how it responds to MIDI controllers, specifically in the context of getting momentary controls versus toggle controls. Momentary meaning you hold down a button and it turns something on, you let go and it turns something off, versus toggle being hit it once, turn it on, and once, turn it off. So let's take a look at what we got going on here. This is a remix that I released a little while ago. It sounds like this. And I have two beat repeats. The only thing that I've done with these beat repeats is I've taken the chance from 100% down to 0 and changed the mode from mix to insert. Other than that, it's basically the regular default device. And I have two of them because we're going to be mapping them in two different ways. So the way this works is when I hit the repeat button, it's going to start looping or repeating whatever's running through it, which sounds like that. So we're going to go ahead and map it, and for this I'm going to be using the MIDI Fighter Twister. This is a really handy MIDI controller because not only does it have a lot of these encoders, but all these encoders also act as buttons. So I'm going to hit Command M or Control M if you're using PC. It's going to take you to your MIDI mapping mode. I'm going to click on the repeat button and I'm going to hit this button right here, which you can see maps to 2/48. So the first number here is going to be the MIDI channel. This button happens to send on MIDI channel 2. All MIDI messages must be sent on one of 16 channels. And then the second number here is the MIDI CC, which stands for continuous control. So Live responds to two different kinds of MIDI messages. It responds to MIDI CCs, which are generally for like knobs and faders, so you can like turn something up and down, or MIDI notes, which are generally on-off messages. So this one just happens to be MIDI channel 2, CC 48. There are 128 MIDI CCs for every one of your 16 channels. So now if I turn this off, because this is a CC, it's going to be a momentary control. So I hold this down, it's going to be on. I let go, it's going to be off. Which allows me to do this kind of glitchy edits on the fly, which is really fun. The other way I can do this is if I go to this other beat repeat and I map it to this button over here. This one is sending on 2/D2. So the first number again is going to be your MIDI channel. The second number here is going to be D2, which is a MIDI note. So if there's a letter involved, that means it's a MIDI note, and Live's can respond to it differently. We can also take a look within the browser and we can see MIDI channel, and then this one's CC48, and this is MIDI note D2. So when I exit my MIDI map mode, if I hit this once, it's going to turn on, and hit it again, it's going to turn it off. Like that. So this is just how Live responds differently to different kinds of MIDI messages. If you send a MIDI CC to a button, it's going to be a momentary control. If you send a MIDI note, it's going to be on-off. So before I made this video, I already knew that this button was going to be a CC and this one was going to be a MIDI note. And the reason I knew that is because I'm using a editing software called the MIDI Fighter utility. This is the software that comes specifically with this controller. So I can go into any one of these knobs and I can choose whether they're sending MIDI CCs or MIDI notes. Most, but not all, modern MIDI controllers will come with some kind of editing software that allows you to customize this. However, controllers like the push, for example, the white button grid on the push sends MIDI notes and the black ones send MIDI CCs. And there's not really much you can do about that. That's just kind of how it's programmed. But most controllers these days will have some kind of editing software that you can use to customize this, which you can then choose to decide MIDI notes for on-off messages or MIDI CCs for momentary controls. So that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed watching that. It's something that I found not a lot of people really realize and can get you a little bit more customization and flexibility, especially when you were building some kind of like DJing or live performance setup. So if you did enjoy watching the video, please subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more videos like this coming out real soon. And again, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.